Okay, so let's talk. What do we normally carry when we go camping? We go to barbecues, we go hunting, we're just out in the woods, we're out and about, or even in the wilds of our backyard. A lot of guys carry these lighters, which are great. They're fantastic, except for when they don't work. A lot of them will have I don't know if we can see this, they'll have the little safety tang in here so that Junior can't get to it and burn the house down, which is great, except for when you're freezing and your dexterity is pretty much at zero, or they run out of fluid, which they do, because we put them in our pocket, we put them in our pack, and they sit for years. That's bright out here. They sit for years, and then they don't work. Does it make it useless? No, because we can still use the flint in here, and I'll try to show that later on. But it makes it really difficult. And when we're in an oh crap situation, the last thing that we need to do is compound our problems. Same being said for these. My folks gave me this lighter back in 2003 when I graduated boot camp. Hoorah. And it's great, and I've had it ever since. The engraving is gone on it, pretty much, but great spark, no fluid. This sits in my truck. That's a classic example of something that you sit around and the fluid dissolves. Does it make it useless? No, but it does make it, again, harder to use, and that's the last thing that we need. So, matches. Matches are great when they work. This happens to be a Strike Anywhere. Wonderful. Except, what if it gets wet? And then it gets all crappy. Or it falls apart. Or I break it. Everything has its place. I would certainly say you should probably have matches and a lighter. Dave Canterbury says, 2 is 1, 1 is none, for sure. Take what you will from it. Now, one of the things that I carry is a little tin. I think I got this from eBay or something, or not eBay, Amazon for like $1. But inside I keep a piece of char cloth, and I keep a magnifying lens because we can go solar. And you'll see, I'll try and concentrate this here. See if I can get my angle right. I mean, it's almost instantaneous. There we go. So if I put this on char cloth, that's, if we can see that, that's going. Okay. Put that out. That's fantastic. Sun's free. It gets hot really quick. We used to burn each other back in grade school. We're sitting in class, we'd take our magnifying glass and just zap somebody on the back of the neck right quick. It's terrible. We were psychotic. This is some dried tree bark. I think it's either tulip poplar or cedar. More than likely it's tulip poplar. It's been in my pack for like 2 years, but you'll see that this goes right up. I don't know if you can see that. We can get an ember going with this and throw this into our bird's nest, so on and so forth, and get our fire going. Later, if I can gather some materials, we'll actually get a full-fledged fire going on. Problem with this is, if you drop this, and you can see I did actually chip it, it's no good. If it's not sunny, it's no good. You're at the mercy of the sun, basically, to get your fire going, which I've never seen anyone start a fire with a magnifying glass at night. Just saying. So, it's a good fallback. And this is great for making char cloth. You see I punched a hole in it. And you can put your cloth material in there and put it on your fire once you have your fire going, so that you have more. You should always have char cloth. Always, always, always. So that's number one, solar. 2, we can go with these guys here. I'm sure you've seen these, the little fire starters for like $4 or $5 in the outdoor section of your big box store, Wally World, and so on and so forth. When they work, they're great. As you can see, this one here, not so much. So understand what you're buying when you purchase these. Personally, I would go with something a little bigger, and a little higher quality. You can find these online, you can find them on Amazon, you can find them on Fleabay. They cost a little more, but the good thing about these is they don't run out of fuel. I mean, if it takes you more than 30,000 strikes, you should probably hang it up. They work when they're wet, whereas these don't. And they take up minimal space. They really do. The downside to these is you need something to strike these with, and it has to have a sharp spine. Now, I think it's just the striker's crap, but the thing with these is they throw gobs of molten steel, or molten metal, I should say, 800-900 degrees, 1400 degrees, depending upon what your mixture is on these, and we don't know. But they burn really hot, and they will readily ignite. Dry material has a lot of surface area. So, let's see. There you go. I mean, it's like easy peasy, 1, 2, 3 easy. But again, you need a sharp spine. Now, you can use a piece of broken glass, and maybe if your magnifying glass breaks, you can use a shard of that to strike it, or back end of your pocket knife or whatever you have, but it has to have that sharp 90-degree spine. Now, I tend to use Mora knives because they're awesome. They're virtually indestructible. They got a great Scandinavian grind, but depending upon what version you get, they might not have that sharp 90-degree spine. So if you're going to carry a bunch of these, and I would suggest that you do, shave down that spine, get a nice sharp 90-degree spine. This one doesn't have it. I've only used this maybe 3 or 4 times, and I haven't done anything to it as far as making it wood-worthy. I actually carry this in my my police bag, just for cutting seat straps, and maybe the occasional sandwich. So make sure that whatever knife you carry, number one, is durable, but also that it has that sharp 90-degree spine. And this hokey $20 pocket knife just happens to fit that. By the way, I hate semi-serrated blades, but it's $20. I digress. Ferro rod, sharp 90-degree spine, either a rock or a good pocket knife, or maybe the back of a hacksaw blade, or even a used razor blade, which is fairly sharp. You can get some good sparks out of. So that's it for those. I'm going to hit the stop button here because my phone won't allow me to keep going. which is probably good for you guys. Squirrel fur. So I'll be back and I'll show you a couple other methods. See ya.